Hello everyone, welcome to this session. All right, so my name is Matthew Jacob. We will discuss about the topic today, which is on how to build a good resume and how to build your LinkedIn profile. I welcome you all to this program on behalf of Edureka. Quick background about myself. I'm a freelance corporate trainer based out of Cochin in India. I'm in the training field for about 10 years. Prior to that, I worked in the software industry for about 25 years. I worked with various organizations, working in places like Mumbai, in Chennai, Doha, and Dubai. I'm a Toastmaster for the past 15 plus years. So currently, I work as a freelance trainer. That's quickly about me. So let us talk about how to write a good resume which can land you a dream job that you have always dreamed about. Fine. Let's start with this little quote which says, there's a pessimist complains about the wind, the optimist expected to change, the realist adjust the sails. Maybe you are not happy with the job. Maybe you have issues with the job. Maybe you have issues with your bosses or colleagues. If you're a pessimist, what pessimists do is they complain. They go home in the evening, tell their wife, tell their husbands, tell their family members, tell their friends that, you know what happens, I'm so unhappy with the people around. That's the only thing they do, they complain. And the optimist is somebody who hopes that things are going to be better tomorrow. Doesn't complain, but then he or she thinks that tomorrow things are going to be much better. They don't do anything. But there is a third category of people called the realist who adjust the sails and they try to make changes. If there is something wrong, something that makes you unhappy, is there anything that you can do to make yourself change the situation which would make you happy? That would mean that maybe having a conversation with your colleague who is making you unhappy, maybe having a conversation with your supervisors who is making you unhappy, or even explaining, discussing with your bosses, what is there anything that they or together we can do to make the situation different so that you can have a happier life, or if not, what, maybe to change the job. Rather than sitting and hoping that things are going to be better, maybe you need to change jobs. So that is what a realist do. So what we are going to talk about today is about realist, someone who are trying to readjust the sails so that we change, maybe sometime change our destination, we move in a different directions so that finally we reach the destination where we want to reach. So this is job search is not a simple thing, especially for freshers if you look. But then many people, what happens is we don't understand the need. We don't understand the seriousness. I have personally known people who are looking for a job. Suddenly they know that they have an, maybe they have to apply for a job. Maybe they have an interview. They walk in interview. They say walk in with a resume. So they spend the previous evening preparing a resume. They walk into the interview, which is not what it should be. It should be really prepared if you really want to land a good job or a job of your choice. Understand the importance of the fact that the job search is not a simple thing to do. You need to put in a lot of efforts and a lot of thought process should go behind the job search. Don't look for a job. That is what we would like to say. Look for a career. A job is temporary. Somebody says that I will do this job, give me 200 rupees, I will do this job. Or let me complete this task for the 1 month, I will work for you, you give me so much of money. That is what a job usually does, right? So in the job, it's a short term, usually can be a part-time job, and mostly motivated only by the pay that you receive in a job. But as in a career, if we talk about, it's a long-term benefit. You are building a career. It's usually not part-time. You're full-time means it's, you're 24 hours into that. You're that's your dream. You are enjoying doing that. Yeah, and maybe it's a passionate. You're working something which you're passionate about in a field. We say, always say that if you find a job which you're passionate about, the work is you're passionate about, they say that you don't work actually. You will only be enjoying in the passion, and you will never complain about the work being boring. You will enjoy life. So always try to build a career. It's not about the short-term benefits. Okay? So that's what we can do. Let's talk about the importance of resume now. What is a resume? You all will know that it's a summary of your experiences and skills, yeah, which will be relevant to the field, that work that you are entering. So some of you may be trying to change the field from what you're currently doing into something else. So you should be able to, your resume should be able to display your talents, your skills, your experience that can cater to the new job that you're entering. and it will highlight your accomplishment. A potential employer will want to know, okay, look at this resume, and they think that, okay, this is the kind of person I want in this organization. So present it properly. So it's definitely not a biography of everything you have done. No, you need to always, we are living in a very fast world where people don't really have time to do anything. So if you write a 10-page summary of what your entire life, then nobody will have the time to read through that. So the challenge here is to present yourself in such a crisp manner so that people can spend as little time as possible and get to know what kind of person you are. This is a little cartoon which says that your resume looks good, but then okay, 17,000 pages, of course, it's a huge exaggeration. But then some people have the tendency to make maybe many pages long, saying that, okay, I have a lot of accomplishments, let people know. But then no, people don't want to know all your accomplishment. If I'm an employer, all that I want to know, what are your accomplishments that can contribute to my kind of a organization. All right, so there is another thing called, we know that the curriculum vitae. Yeah, curriculum vitae is again, usually these two terms are interchangeably used. The curriculum vitae, in short, we call it as a CV, and the resume. Yeah, but curriculum vitae, the difference is it's a more detailed document about yourself, right? So this is how the if you look at the difference between a resume and a CV, which is a curriculum vitae, the primary difference is the length. Usually, a CV is prepared by somebody from the academic field, a scientist, a researcher, a professor who has a lot of research papers, like those kind of professions. They need to project, all their work need to be documented, and that need to be communicated to a potential employer. Such people will have a curriculum vitae. Most of your working in the regular kind of a job, what you need is not a CV, what you need is a resume. But then again, what you need to understand is, when somebody, if you're applying for a job and they say that send me your CV, or you talk to somebody saying that, okay, I'm interested in applying for a job in your organization, they say that you send me your CV. So most of the time when they ask you to send a CV, what they mean is a resume. So don't think that because they ask me to send a CV, I'm going to send a 10-page document. No, you don't do that. You send the resume. So that's why I said earlier that this is usually used in an interchangeable manner, right? All right, so it's basically, there's a difference, we can say. So resume is a 1 or maximum 2 pages is that you would have in a resume. To be brief and concise, the reader will spend a minute or two reviewing qualifications. Well, that's what they have. Whereas the curriculum, it is a longer summary, as we explained. Now, what does resume do? Resume is like this. When you see an advertisement like this, what is it trying to tell somebody who sees the advertisement? What does this advertisement tell you? This advertisement, if you look into this, it's going to tell us that I am so tasty, I am delicious. If you eat me, and you are going to be happy. That's what it is going to try. So if you buy my product, you will end up being a happier person. I can meet your needs. You are interested in buying you're interested in tasty chocolates. So this is going to make you happy. A resume is something very similar to this. When you send your resume to a potential employer, you are indicating to the employer saying that I can solve your problem. I meet your requirements. If you hire me, you will end up being a happier person. I am what you need. That is what you're trying to say. So you are creating an advertisement. You are running an advertisement campaign when you when you send in your resume. So always keep this in mind. You are trying to sell yourself to product. As a product, you are trying to sell yourself to a potential buyer, which in this case, you don't call it the buyer, as an employer. That is what you need by a resume. Now, if you look at, it's an advertise to sell yourself to an employer, and it should make you attractive, interesting, and they want to, it should be present you as somebody who is worth considering for employment in the organization, so that you can receive not a job but a job interview. All that a resume can get you, a good resume can get you, is not a job. Resume doesn't get you a job. What it does is, it can get you a job interview. then it becomes again your responsibility to convince the employer during the interview that you are actually what you say you are in the resume, maybe more than what you said in the resume. That comes in the interview stage. So all that resume can get you is not a job but a job interview. Anyway, this is a quick statistics which says that 1 in 200. This statistics say that out of 200 resumes, one resume end up for a job interview, they say, which means out of 200, one gets into for an interview, for a job interview, and 199 of those resumes end up in the waste basket or in the junk folder, or it gets deleted from their systems. Many of the majority of the resumes don't land you an interview. For example, if you have a job for 100 people, 100 let's say large corporation is hiring 100 employees, they receive 10,000 resumes. Obviously, out of the 10,000, maybe let's say 500 people are called for interview for 100 jobs. So out of 10,000, maybe 500 lands interview, 9,500 are going into the basement. That is how it happens. Now, how long do you think a recruiter take initially to read your resume? Initial reading. There is a large corporation that is hiring 100 employees. There are 10,000 resumes received. In the initial screening, how much time do you think that a person will end up reading your resume? It is a fact that all that they are going to do is to read your resume for a few seconds. Maybe it's 7 seconds, maybe 10 seconds, maybe 20 seconds, definitely not 1 minute. Imagine they're spending 1 minute for each resume that they receive 10,000 resume. No, it will not happen. So all that they're going to do is maybe spend a few seconds to read your resume. Now, what does it tell you? This means that you have a few seconds to impress somebody. So you may be the best candidate who is applying for the job. But then unfortunately, what is going to happen is that nobody is going to read through your entire achievements, which is coming somewhere in the deep inside the resume. So how do you make somebody impress somebody in the first 7 seconds, 10 seconds, 20 seconds? Number one, it should look attractive. It should look professional. Now, it can easily land in the dustbin if it doesn't look professional, it doesn't look attractive, even when you may be the best qualified candidate who has applied for the job. So the first challenge is to impress somebody in the first 7 seconds. We'll see how we do that. Okay, when we talk about the different sections that comes in the interview. Okay, before we go into this, I will quickly talk about recruitment process. Now, this step that we said is number one requirement is to impress somebody in the first 10 seconds, 15 seconds, 20 seconds. Now, once you have impressed somebody in the first 20 seconds, next stage, maybe out of the 10,000 resume, 5,000 have impressed in the first stage. So they have shortlisted 5,000 resumes. Now, next time, maybe they go into a little more detail. And this is the time they read through, maybe they spend a minute with each resume at the next stage. There, they go through your qualifications, your skill set, your experiences, and see whether you match with the organization's requirement. So your first challenge is to impress somebody in the 10 seconds. Second challenge is to present your qualification in such a manner that people are impressed again. Again, when you are the best, even when you are the best candidate who has applied for the job, if you haven't presented it properly, you again may end up, your resume again may end up in the dustbin. So make sure that you present yours properly. So this is the second challenge you will face. Okay, so we will see next part we are going to do is how to write a stunning resume. Number one things when you start to prepare a resume, or if you're starting to modify your resume, always keep this in mind. You have to focus on the employer's needs, not yours. Don't say that I have this skill, I have so many different skills, I'm a superstar, I've been a top ranker, I have done this, I have done so many wonders in my life. Now, an employer won't give any importance to what wonders you have done in your life unless that wonder is going to help this person, the prospective employer, in some way in the job that you're going to apply for. So it's not about telling what you have done. It's about understanding what the employer needs and then accordingly present your skill set which will impress an employer. So always think, when you write a single word in the document, in the resume, think about this in your mind. What does the employer need? And present. So if you have this always in your mind, you don't need to worry about any formalities, any structure. You can do anything if you understand the need of the employer properly. Okay, so the first question that you're going to ask is, what is it that the employer needs from me, from the position? So keep this in mind. Right, with this now, let us talk about, okay, how would you present your information? So this is, we suggest an inverted pyramid style of presenting information. Main points gets right at the top, which the employers will, or the recruiters will read in the first seconds. So that is where the main points goes, because it's in the first thing that they look into. And the supporting information then goes next. Maybe in the next level of review, they go for the supporting information. And then in the final, maybe at the interview stage, they're going to go through your background history. And then maybe they're going to ask questions based on your background and your history. So this is how we need to present, so that people get the most important information, and most information that is going to help them decide on you goes right on the top. Right? All right. So again, when you send a resume also send a lot of hidden messages to recruiters, employees. Okay. So we may write a lot of things about the resume inside the resume, but there can be messages going from the resume about us to the employer even when we don't write that. For example, maybe if your resume is neat, if it is well organized, if it is free of errors, if it has a professional appearance, so this is going to tell the employer that you are neat, you are well organized, you have great attention to details. When you have error free, it tells the employer that you have attention to details. And when your resume has a professional appearance, it tells them that you are a careful person and you are a competent person. Now you may think, how does it matter if I make a spelling mistake in my resume? If you seriously think about this, maybe yeah, it should not matter, right? How does it matter? Because your job nothing to do with language. You are going to do some job where you don't have to know proper spelling. You may ask, why? How does it matter? So I don't care if I make a spelling mistake. But no, what is going to happen is, if you make that kind of a mistake in your resume, that is going to talk about you as a person, as an individual. So always make sure that your resume is error free. You cannot afford to have a single error in your resume. That sends a wrong message about you. You think about this. When somebody sends you a document, if you find a spelling mistake in that, if you know it's a spelling mistake or anything, if it's not structured properly, even when they have all the details that you're looking for, you have a little suspicious, you will become a little suspicious about what is going to be, I mean, about the person who was sent it to you. You may not be so happy to accept that. So always keep this in mind about the hidden messages that are going to be sent across to employees. Fine. All right. So always your resume should be, you match up with the position and the organization that you send to the you're applying for. It's not that you have, previous, there used to be people who prepare a resume in olden days, when before the email was popular and all, when they used to send application by the post, the snail mail like we call it now, right? So people would prepare a resume and then they 100 photocopies and send it to all possible companies. That's a very wrong thing to do. Some people may call you somewhere where the resume suits them, but 90% of them may not be of any relevance, so it may not help you in any way. So always match up with the position. It's not one size fits all, right? Like that when you go to buy t-shirts, that free size, anybody irrespective of your body size, you can buy a dress and it fits anyone. No, resume is not like that. You have to tailor make a resume which is suitable for the position that you're applying for. So always keep that. Understand, research the company. What are their products? What kind of work they do? Who are the people behind them? Right? What will they be looking for in you as an employee, as a new employee? right? Who works at the moment? What are the kind of people who are working there, right? Do they have a mission statement? Go to the website and check what are the mission statement, what are their values. They say, always they say, like, if you are able to join an organization where the value match with your personal value, you will end up working a happy employee in that organization. So always understand what is the core values projected by the organization, right? What are the mission statement? It tells a lot about you. And what are they passionate about? Do their passions match with your passions? If that happens, you will fit very well in that organization. And once you understand all this, then maybe ask, prepare the resume which will satisfy these kinds of needs of the which will satisfy the employer based on answering these questions. Fine. Let's quickly look into what are some of the material that you need to go into the resume. We'll check out the different sections in the resume. Now, what we need to understand is there is no hard and this is what get to me. What I'm going to suggest is a few suggestions which will. There is no the best way to present a resume. There is no the list of sections that needs to include in the resume. So you always have to take a call. Think, what do you think the employer will need? Accordingly, you may have to include information that or the details you may want to include. So I'm going to give a suggestion which may satisfy most of the people. Now let me tell you why. Before I designed this, I had a discussion with two recruiters. I mean, I came up with a list of sections in a resume which I thought would satisfy. One is a new gen recruiter, a youngster who may not go with the conventional methods. The other one was a lady who is a little older generation lady who thinks differently. Now, you don't know who is going to read your resume. So you don't know whether you will write a resume which will satisfy somebody from the older generation or from the young generation. So you may have to make it in such a way that it will satisfy anybody from any generation. So whatever I am suggesting is from that point, then you would make a call, you decide what to include, what not to include. But then these are suggestive. So these are basically 8 sections that I would say that can have in the resume. Your personal information, your objective, that's a career objective, a summary of qualifications, education, work experience, skills, accomplishments, extracurricular activities, and any additional information. Now we will go through on all these sections one by one and maybe have a quick discussion on this. Let's talk about the first one, the personal information, right? So we'll talk about the personal information. Personal information, you will have your name, your photograph, your email ID, your telephone number, your home address, your LinkedIn profile if you have a profile, or any other professional profiles you have. Usually what I have shown is, okay, this is not how it's supposed to look. If you see, this is how I had prepared a resume some time back, where I have used this in the header information right in the top of the first page, where I have a picture, where I have my name and my telephone number, the address. Now some of you may think, or even some recruiters may think, that why do you need a home address? Maybe you are right, because nobody is going to send you a letter to your home address and asking you to appear for an interview. But then I would strongly suggest that you include it there just for the sake of completion, right? So that makes your profile a little more authentic. So it's something that maybe at least at this stage, at the interview, before the interview stage, they won't need the home address. Maybe later on they will need, after you're being hired. They may want to do a background check and things like that. They may need a home address. But then at this point in time, even if they don't need, give the home address to make it more authentic. And when you give a telephone number, if possible, give 2 telephone numbers. One is, if you're already working somewhere, you may not always be able to answer phone calls. You may not want to miss calls. Maybe give another telephone number which is always available. Maybe somebody from one of your family members' telephone number can also be given, so that in case you are not able to answer their call, they may try calling someone else and pass on the information. Now let's first look at the. Okay, this is another style where you can display some of the suggested ways of displaying your header information, your personal information, where your first name, last name. This here, this is slightly different. It talk about the your title, your position, like what is a job kind of a thing is included right at the top. Yeah? You can do that as well. So you decide which one looks better, you think which one you looks professional and what suits your personality, then you design how it should look. So we tell what should be contained in that. Now photograph. Okay, now what kind of photograph do you include in a resume? What do you think of this? You think it's a good photograph? How do you think, do you think this is going to impress people? Yeah, a selfie photograph, they may think that this is, yeah, this is the latest trend, I like this person's because I want to have them in my organization. Maybe even if somebody thinks that you are trendy, you are modern, but then they may not consider you for a job position if you have a photograph like this. So I suggest don't include any photograph like this. Include something which is a professional looking photograph, which is your front view, which shows your head and maybe little part below your head and facing a professionally taken photograph. If possible, take it in a studio, get it done by a professional photographer if you can, and have a good photograph and show that. And this is the first thing that any employer, any recruiter is going to look at. So impress them with your good photograph. Right. So that is one thing. And then your email address. Okay, now that so many email platforms are available, so people end up creating a lot of funny email addresses, right? So no, some thing which is funny, when you send an email with this from this address to your friends, it may be interesting to people, but then in a professional kind of an environment, do not include such email addresses, right? To have a professional looking email address which includes, always includes your name, uh, which are possible. Of course, it may not, you may not directly be able to create an email with your name alone, because all the free email platforms, they will not, your name may already have been taken. You may have to add other prefixes, whatever, but then make an email what looks a professional looking email address. Always take care of that. And telephone number we mentioned. Next section, what is suggested is the career objective session. Now, career objective section, I told you about two HR people I spoke about. One of the person, the younger guy, told me that, no, why, I don't care what you write in the career objective. But the older person told me, so she will not look at the resume unless the career objective is there. So again, to satisfy both these people, I would say that career objective is included as a section. Always do that. Now, what comes in there, that is what, where you can control, where you can have a control on. So always here, tell the, in your objective, don't say that this is what I am looking for. Instead of saying that this is what I am looking for, tell them that I can contribute, how I can contribute to your organization. So you can smartly phrase the objective in such a way that that will be useful for the employer. That's what we can do. This is, says it can be 1 or 2 sentences. Don't have too general information. So have specific information about specific skills you talk about, how you can benefit the company. Always target your desired job. Yeah, so this is about what you phrase it in such a way that that talks about the desired job, and don't focus on what your benefits that you're looking at. No employers cares what you want to look for, what are your benefits. They want to see how you're going to benefit them. Okay, so for different position, you change accordingly. So generally, I would suggest the format given below. An X position in an organization where Y and Z would be needed, or in an organization seeking Y and Z. So this is indirectly telling I am looking for a sales manager position in an organization where technical selling skills and maybe good communication skills would be needed. So what you're going to indirectly tell is, I have these kind of skills and I'm looking for a position in an organization, and you're in your organization for this kind of a position. So that indirectly talks about your skills as well. So this is how we can, one suggested way of including your career objective, right? So let's see some examples now. This is okay, look at that. You can just read through that. This is some of the examples from the different industries I put in there. It all talks about what you can bring into an organization and what kind of position you're looking for. This is what it talks about. This is, again, even freshers can write that. What are you looking for? Here, the first one is an entry level position in the hospitality industry where a background in advertising and public relations would be needed. Right? Whatever, such things again. The last one is an electrical engineering entry positions. Yeah, because it says that we are coming from the electrical engineering background and this is what you're looking for. this is something that you don't give. If you read through that, you'll understand. To find a career that will allocate dexterity from preceding experiences to perform a job to superiority. In addendum to facile and ardent task force will alleviate the work environment of unethical work habits. People may think that okay, have excellent language skills, but then they will not understand what you're trying to say. So don't unnecessarily complicate. Make it as simple as possible. That is what we need to do when we write the resume, right? All right. So moving on. Okay. Next is you may not find in the standard definitions of resume where you give summary of qualifications. Now, in summary of qualification, what you're going to do is in a few seconds, read the section and they understand you as a person. What are your strengths? What are your qualifications? What are your experiences? Initial, that 10 seconds we said earlier. In that 10 seconds, if you're able to read through these sections and understand you as a person, you should be able to convince them. Okay, this is what I am. This is how I can satisfy your needs, right? So this is, again, sometimes, especially for freshers, what will happen is they may not have a lot of qualification, a lot of experience to mention. In that case, if you're able to merge this with the career objective, maybe you can skip this section. That is what I would say. Because if you have only one or two qualifications that you are able to highlight, if you're able to fit that in the objective, there's no point repeating the same thing again here. In such cases, you can skip this section. That's what I would say. Otherwise, always have this section. This is like a movie trailer. Now, what does a movie trailer do? It tells you what is coming when you watch the movie. See, a summary is going to tell an employer that okay, this is what generally I am. Now, if you want to know the details about me, watch my full movie or read through the following sections. That is what it's section. So many of us do that. We watch the trailer of a movie and then we decide that okay, this is not my type of movie. I don't want to watch this. So this is what can happen. A summary of qualifications tell the employer, okay, this is the kind of person. Do you want this kind of a person? They may want to go through the remaining sections of the resume and then you decide whether you want to go ahead with you. Fine. So again, let's see some examples. I'll say, okay, this is a few concise statements that focus on the most important qualities. It's not everything. Most important qualities. It should be strong and convincing. Again, always think, what will the employer want to know about you, and present you accordingly. I'm a versatile real estate executive with 7 years of experience in property acquisition, development and construction, as well as the management of large apartment complexes. Especially skilled at building effective, productive working relations with clients and staff. Have excellent management, negotiation, public relations skills. I don't need more than 5-10 seconds to read through that. I understand what kind of person this resume is. Now, if I don't need such a person, I skip. But if I'm looking for to hire a person with similar background, now I know where to. I will want to know more details. Where did this person work? And what kind of organization they work. That I will check by going into the detail sections of the resume. Okay. All right. So this is the summary of qualification. So we discussed this. Now let's move on. Education. It's very simple. You know that educational qualification need to present properly. So talk about your last degree. Always do it in the reverse chronological order, starting from the highest degree at the first, and give the institutions and the location and when you completed that degree. And this is where you can include your certifications or any skill base. You don't have to generally include your high school qualification unless you have not completed graduation, right? So you don't have to do this one. This can be listed. Okay, we'll take an example. Yeah, this is what you can say. I'm a BTech in electrical engineering from Manipal Institute of Technology. In 2018, I scored 90% marks. I'm a university third rank holder. If this applies to you, then I add those kinds of information to make you stand out. And 12th, you can give whatever, and you have done a part-time diploma course. List these details in. Always give marks. Some people have grades, no mark. So if it's a CGPA, give the CGPA grade that you have from the for the qualification. Right? List them in reverse chronological order. Moving on. Next section is about Okay, work experience, again the same thing. For freshers obviously doesn't apply, but then for freshers, if you have any kind of a project experience, you've done project work, you can include that here. Any internship that you've done, so that can go as a in the work experience section. For the experienced people, you talk about the all the previous jobs, again starting from the reverse chronological order, the last position first, give the title and the organization you worked, dates, the period you which worked, in which location you worked, yeah, all this, and also give a brief description about the responsibilities that you have been holding in the organization. And always use action work. What did you achieve in that organization? Show your achievements, but don't make it too long, too elaborate. Make it brief. We'll take an example now. Let's look at this example. Technology analyst at such and such company in Bangalore and in India, and you explain. If you look at the, it's a little explanation about the company, what kind of a company, what kind of an organization they have worked. And you also said I was reporting to this particular position. That shows the hierarchy where you had been fitting in. And what all did you manage there? I was leading the development of whatever, and I was also member of such and such team doing such and such implementation, right? And what all did I achieve in this session? I told about the action verbs earlier, so use such words. I designed, I developed a new system, all this kind of the achievements that you have done. And this is going to give a clear idea to the employer, like what kind of a person I'm looking at. Skills and accomplishments. Now this is an optional section. If you have any additional skills that you want to talk about, any accomplishment that you have done, this I would leave it as an optional section. If you don't have anything to mention, report here, don't report here, right? So any technical skills that you have, I am proficient in the following programming languages. But if you have something like that to report, do that. Or if you have any specific soft skills, don't include anything just for the sake of including it. If you are really good, when I say I have good communication skills, are you able to prove that to somebody how you have good communication skills? Or how when you do actually communicate, do they get convinced? Do that. And also when you say I have leadership skills, you should be able to uh, give them an example where you have shown leadership skills. So include such skills out here. And also any accomplishments. I've been the best outgoing student, I have won this award, I have been the best, I've given a elocution competition award, I have the coding award. Any coding, somebody asked about the coding ranking that you have received from some the certification sites as well. You can include all that here if you have something like that, right? So as I said, this is a optional section. You don't have to this unless you have something to report, right? Then you have extracurricular activities, right? So any extracurricular activity that you would like to report on. This is a girl who had represented her college in a intercollegiate competition, and they won the competition. The competition was in a group dance. So she was a member of the group dance team which took part in the competition, and they won the university best dance team. Now she asked me, should I include that in my resume? But then I would say that if you are not sure in the job, include that as an extracurricular activities. But then when you say that, it talks a lot about you as an individual. You are a good team player. To have been a member of a dance team, it talks about you had been a good team player. Maybe you are leading the team, yeah, so you can work well with people. So this talks about people. So I have been the captain of the college football team or cricket team. This again talks about me as a person with leadership qualities. It talks about you. Let's move on. Extracurricular activities, yeah, any okay, here you can also include things like any professional association. You're a member of any professional association, IEEE, Computer Societies of India, Society of India, or any such organ, any membership, you can include it here. Fine. If you have any hobbies, again, hobbies, when I say, always make sure that hobbies, that's something that matters, that can add value to your profile. Otherwise, don't include any achievements, additional achievements you can, if you want to include. All right, finally come to the last section. I have anything that you missed out. Date of birth. So usually many employees don't discriminate based on age and date of birth, but then many employees also look at this, especially in Indian employees. For all practical purposes, they want to know your age, so include the date of birth. and what are the languages you speak. It may be it may be useful information, or anything that adds value to your profile you can include here. Some additional points we'll talk about. Okay, this is some general tips. Don't overcrowd your resume. Don't fit everything in some or too much of information. When I said one page, you say I have maybe 5,000 words, but I want to fit in one page. No, don't do that. So it should be easy to read for people. So reduce the information and fit this in one page or two pages. Have lots of white spaces. Yeah, and when you send it by email or any other media, or when you're uploading it to the website, it's always preferable to upload this as a PDF document. But some of them may ask you to upload in this particular format, maybe MS Word or any other format. If they don't say anything, always suggest PDF, because otherwise your formatting and will make it disturb when the other persons receive it. So that is suggested. And avoid, yeah, this is some of the sections that can be avoided. Many people do that. Above particulars are true to the best of my knowledge. And age, you don't have to say. You are saying the date of birth, but then age you don't say, because maybe after 1 year, if somebody looks at your resume, your age would have changed. And religion, mostly there's no need to put in the religion. Avoid spelling mistakes. Don't have all capital letters, too small font size. Passport number and expiry date and things like that, no. Why would anybody want to know? If they want to know your passport number, if they're going to send you abroad, they will take it when that is needed. So don't have to give it at this stage. Don't use multiple fonts, multiple colors and italics and all. Don't do that. Maximum I would suggest 2 fonts you can use. Maybe 1 font is also okay. If you want 2 fonts is okay, and maybe maximum you can use 2 colors. 1 color is also fine. And the colors, again, be very careful. Don't use pink or any kind of like funny looking colors. Which professional colors, maybe dark blue should be fine, maybe maroon should be fine, but I would prefer dark blue and black, or such any combinations. If you want to use 2 colors, that's what you would do. Okay, parents details don't include. There's no need to include at this stage. Okay, now let's this are some of the examples I said. Somebody wrote the programming language in blank. He doesn't know any programming language. He said programming language is nothing. Now, why would you want to invite attention of somebody to something that you don't have? Don't include that, right? So father's name, occupation, don't include that. I'm looking for a career in new and emerging technologies. This is too generalized statement, so you have to be more specific. This will not help. Strengths and skills, there's a spelling mistake, quality spelling mistake. Current salary 28,000. Desired salaries, okay, I got missed that. Desired salary had written as 2 lakhs. Yeah, so first of all, you don't put the salary details in the resume. But even if you put, I mean, you don't put, but then your expectation should not be so high. From the current salary of 28,000, I want to get 2 lakh salary. No. Okay, look at the spelling. I would like to assure you that I'm a working person. Of course, you're okay. Sorry, that is a hardly working person. Fine. Again, hobbies. Look at that, marital arts. He meant it well. He meant martial arts, right? So when the martial became marital, what happens is the entire meaning changes. Marital arts, so it becomes marriage related. Hobbies, painting, marital arts. So enjoy cooking Chinese and Italians. He meant it well. He enjoys cooking Chinese food and Italian food. But then when you say Chinese and Italian, that means a Chinese is a person from China. All right, you cannot cook such people, right? All right, so again, look at the job title as manager. He meant assistant manager, but it can have a different wrong connotation if you put things like that. Fine. All right, so bad resumes I have. So a great resume is something that has a great visual appeal. It highlights your strength. It links to the employer's needs. It's succinct and organized. It presents most important information. It is free from errors. That is what it talks about. Always state what you are. Include your achievements. You include, not your aspirations. So aspirations are something else and achievements are something else. Ensure language is succinct and layout and crisp and clear. And then your resume is your marketing flyer, your advertisement. Give enough importance to that. Fine. And update your resume every 6 months. In 6 months, something should have changed. Now, if you tell me now that nothing has changed in the past 6 months, why would I change my resume? If nothing has changed in your resume, then it means there is something wrong with you. something should have changed. You must have acquired a new skill. You must have updated. You must have got more experience. So if you ever say that I haven't, nothing has changed, then understand that there's something is not right. And one very important statement: when you write any word in your resume, always be careful to what word, because each word that you present in your resume can be a potential question in a job interview. That can lead to a question. So always think, why am I writing this word here? Always do that. Be very careful about that. I'm going to we are talking about change. Things have changed now, right? How things have changed in the past. So this is a code that, so if you, when you know that the entire world has changed, we should also be able to prepare to change ourselves. So if you think like person who was 10 years, I mean, us 10 years back, we may not be able to survive in the current world. So we may have to make changes in ours is as well. So networking, we one thing what is very critical these days is the ability to network people, building a network. So Peter Gale said your network is your net worth. Yeah, so it says more than your money that you make, build your good networks. And Robert Kiyosaki, who's wrote the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, he said richest people in the world look for and build networks, others look for work. That's what he said. So it talks about the importance of network. How are we going to build network? So there are multiple platforms available. Yeah, this is an example where you say how do you build network. You are here, you have a friend called Sarah has an uncle called Dilip has a friend called Abhishek. Abhishek has some friend, maybe some friend here who is working for an organization where you want to you're looking for a job. So this is how you expand your network. But today we have lots of platforms available which can help us build our network. Right, so that we are going to talk about some of the platforms. Some of the platforms, of course, there are WhatsApp group, there are Facebook, there is Instagram, there is Monster, there is Glassdoor, there is LinkedIn, there is Twitter. Now, we would suggest that these are all networking platforms. But we suggest that a professional networking, these left side ones can be avoided and prefer to include the what is in the right side. Twitter is also considered both as a social networking plus a professional networking. You can include that because people communicate using the Twitter these days. So these are some of the networking platforms. We are specifically talk about one platform, but is your LinkedIn platform as a networking platform. Now I know that some of you have a LinkedIn profile, some of you don't have a LinkedIn profile. So it's used to display your resume. It can be used to search for a job. It can also be used to enhance your professional network. So what LinkedIn has done is it has helped us, the people who are looking for a job, being organized. So before LinkedIn, what used to happen was the other side, the demand side, the employees were organized. Now this has made even the people who are looking for a job also organized. Yeah, supply side becomes organized, and it is LinkedIn profile is something like you're permanently running an advertisement in newspaper. In previous time, people used to that I'm looking for a job, such and such job. I'm this is kind of a qualification that I have. Now we don't see such ads in newspapers now. So LinkedIn profile is something like you have a running an advertisement in a newspaper every day. That is what LinkedIn has done for us. Okay, now what all to be having in the LinkedIn profile? Again, we talked about some of the very important aspect of your LinkedIn profile to make it as strong as possible. That's what we are going to do. So number one, again, the picture we said, like the profile picture you talked about, always show your picture there. People remember your faces when they look at your profile. So have that. So again, a professional looking picture with a professionally taken picture. That is what you give us the profile picture. Always give your picture there. Don't put your dog's picture. Don't put a waterfall picture. Don't put this film actors pictures. No, always put your picture as a profile picture. Right. Next is the background. Like most of the social and working sites have this background, so you can use this background to add some personality to your profile. Maybe it can talk about yourself. Maybe somebody, like you said earlier, you said about creativity. So creativity, you can use your creativity in a way that will add values to your profile, right? If nothing, you can make it as maybe a favorite quote. You got something which adds to your profile. So it's always good to have a background added up there. And again, when you give the contact details, give all not all possible contact details, fill in the contact details. Email address is mandatory for you to create a profile, so you'll have the email address. You have a phone number. I will not recommend giving the phone number, because they will anyway contact you through messages and all. So maybe it is you don't want to expose your phone number at the contact details, unless you're very particular that you don't want to miss any chance of anybody trying to contact you. Contact phone number can be avoided, but do have your email ID. If you have a Twitter handle, do that, include that. And if you have any blogs or any other such networking sites, you can include a link to that here. And always try to get a custom URL, right? So you can customize a URL by editing a profile. For example, if I have a profile, when I say linkedin.com/in/Mathew123. So this, it's like when you create, it's like you creating a new email address. You can go to the site, go to the edit profile, and you can create a custom URL. That URL is free available, you can use that. So you can try creating that. Always do that. So this can go in your email footer, email signatures and all, so that people can directly click on that link, and then that will take them to your LinkedIn profile. So do that. And a headline is again like we said earlier about the brief about you. In one word, or in a couple of sentences, it describes you as a person. So always it's a keyword sensitive field. Like when people are searching for candidates for a job, they look at the search happens also in the keyword field. So always have the right keywords included in the in your headlines. So describe your health, skills and experience. Don't give just the job title. So this is what you would do. Let me quickly show you some sample up here. Give enough importance to your headline, so people, again, like when they read your resume, they're going to maybe spend a few seconds looking at the headline and try to understand you as a person. And this open to network that you see here is a new recently added facility by LinkedIn. Whether if you're open to change job, you can include here. So this will be visible to recruiters, so they will know that you're okay to you're ready to change jobs, or you're ready to start work. So they will, if this is not, if this is there, there's a better chance that they include you in the in their pursuit, right? And again, there is a section called summary. It's again a section about briefly. This is like your career summary, summary of qualification we spoke about in the resume. So this is something similar to that. It briefly introduces you about yourself to the readers. It's again I'll take the same previous example where we talked about like a movie trailer. It gives an idea about what kind of a person you are. Reading this, they know, okay, this is my kind of a person. Now let me go into the details of the other sections, right? So this is again use bullet text if possible, wherever possible, so that it becomes easier for people to read. So 3 to 5 short per paragraph. That's what we do. Talks about your skill sets, your passions, what you like doing, what you don't like doing. All this can be included here in the about section. Fine. Okay, this helps you understand as a person. This is a sample of about section. I took 2 samples out here. See how we include details up here. So 2 different profiles. So something like this, it becomes easier for people to read, and a quick look and they understand what kind of a person you are, like a movie trailer. Fine. And then the current job title, always fill the job title. This again is a keyword field. People can sometimes, recruiters can search you based the current job title. Always fill this with your possible, add some keywords up here as well. If you're trying to change fields, maybe you want to include some way, something that can show some skills that is needed in the new field that you're going to change to. But then always give a meaningful current job title here. You can, again, I think it takes about 120 characters it takes in this field. So it's 100 characters it takes into this field. So use that to explain about you. Fine. Don't leave it blank. Even okay, fine. Even freshers, if possible, include something here. Talk about the kind of job that you're looking for. Don't leave it blank, because people, I'm looking for a sales kind of a job. Somebody is looking for people who can work in the sales job. So if they look at the current job title, if you have the word sales in that as a keyword there, you may get shortlisted up there. Don't show that you're unemployed, you're currently laid off. No, don't say that. It's a fact that you're unemployed currently. Then people need to search you out based on what is given in the current job title. So don't this here talk about your previous title. You can include in the current job title. That's what you can do. And your work experience, you can, like in the resume, how we discuss, we can have details about the current and the past job details. I given one example here about a person who in the airline industry, he started as a software engineer with the Patni computer. He moved to Emirates Airline. He was with Qatar Airways. So how this has been explained, you can have all the details added up here. Okay, this is a very important section as well. LinkedIn allows you to add up to 50 skills, up to 50 skills that you think you have or you believe you have, right? And these skills can be endorsed by people who are connected to you in LinkedIn. So get it, the connections, the LinkedIn automatically get your endorsement from your contacts. So the more endorsement you get on your skills, the better a candidate you become. And in the front page, it lists the top 3 skills. That is what will be the top 3 skills in terms of number of endorsement. That is what comes in the top 3. Now, if you look at this person, this is a good friend of mine, Vinod Mehra. He has 3 skills listed here. Public speaking, which has been endorsed by 67 people. Leadership is 99. Business alliance is 99. The point that I'm trying to make here is that it is possible to the LinkedIn by default picks up the top 3 skills number of endorsements and it keeps it here. But you can change that. You can add some other skills which is not endorsed by the majority, and that can bring to the top. Again, people may easily see those skills when you leave that on the top. So make sure that what you want to show as your top 3 skills, it's in your hands. Okay, it adds up to 50 skills endorsement we talked about. Top 3 skills are displayed in the main page. This is again, it's a sample page, skills and endorsement. Okay, this is what I was telling earlier. If you look at Vinod Mehra's profile, it says skill LinkedIn specialist endorsement 99 plus, social selling is 99 plus, but startup is only 14 plus. Now, if you look into the details of his skills, there will be other skills that he will more endorsement. He has more endorsement, but then he deliberately wanted to show startup because he may be looking for opportunities that is connected with startup. So he wanted these skills to be visible in the top. Fine. Okay, next section we talk about is the recommendations. You can get yourself recommended by people who are your contacts. It's again, so it's something like when you are trying to buy something in Amazon or Flipkart. So you are buying a new product, you don't know what kind of a product that is, you have no experience about the product. So what do? We look for people experiences shared by people who have bought the product and who are people who use this product. And when many people say that, okay, this is a good product and I'm very happy with this product, you will be more confident to buy that. Whereas if many people are saying that this is not a good product, this is a lousy product, it breaks down after a week, if you have those kinds of comments, then you know that you don't want to buy that product. So this is something similar to that. When you have your contacts recommend saying that this is a person who has this and this and this and the skills, and I strongly recommend this person for this kind of a job, people become more confident about the kind of skills that they can bring into that organization. So always give those kind of get recommendations, and you can also give recommendations to people, right? Get recommended by contacts. Request one LinkedIn recommendation a month, at least you can do that. You can write to your contacts asking them to recommend you. So maybe everyone may not recommend you, but some of them may recommend you. So that will again add value to your profile. Feature section is, there is a way you can, like any social media platform, you can write articles, you can present other kind of maybe you can present videos, or you can so many things can be shared with your contacts or who happen to visit your profile pages. So in what feature section does is, see what happens if if you shared something last year. So if you look into your profile, it may not be visible at that point in time. And now when you look into that, right? So if you want to feature something which is always available in your in your profile page, add such articles, such posts into the feature section. so that they'll always be visible in that section. I'll show you a sample here. Any posts or articles or links to the media, all this can be added to into your featured section. I'll show again sample. Yeah, this is again the same person, Vinod Mehra. This is what he has added into the featured section. So this is a post that he has shared earlier, right? It is in November 17, 2019. This has happened. At that point, he had shared it, but then now if you look at his profile, usually this would not be visible, but then when you add it to the featured section, that becomes visible. And then there are other sections about this. Most of the sections has been covered. There are some other sections which are not so important as these sections. Like you can have a additional accomplishments. If you have any special accomplishment that you would like to list on, like for in the second column, you can see that you had any publications, you have any patents, you have done different courses, you have received awards, the test scores, like that your coding score, all those things can be added here if you have something like that here, or languages, organizations, right? And AI license and certifications. So look at these sections as well. If you have anything that add values to profile which can be added here, maybe you can add to there as well. Then we'll talk about the settings. Settings is basically who are allowed to see your profile, who can contact you. Such things will come under the settings. In settings you can set. So try going into the settings page and try all this. So this goes from your view profile. Under the view profile, there is a setting and privacy option. You can click on that, get in there. All right, so how do we get noticed now? You have to get noticed by people. So basically you need to continuously post something onto your profile which will be interesting to people, so people will notice you. You can comment on posts by other people, again you'll get noticed. Yeah, okay. You can something that is relevant to the kind of job that you're doing. If you're a marketing professional, so write an article on how to become a good marketing, what kind of strategies can be employed in different kind of scenarios, or something like that. You can include such posts. So people read that and they notice you, they want to follow you. Slowly you expand your network. Right? And also there are LinkedIn groups available, like in Facebook groups and other groups. So there are lots of professional groups available. Find out some groups that is relevant to the kind of work that you are doing, your profession, and try to become member of that group. So even employers who are in that field could be there in the groups. You may get connected to some such senior people who are trying to recruit from the group. Recruit from LinkedIn. So you get connected to such people and you are in their contact list. They may try to contact you and say that, would you be interested in joining my organization? This can all happen. These are all different ways of expanding our network. So join niche groups that are connected to your field, engage in discussion. So write some posts and comments. Okay, so this is how your groups looks in the profile. If you look in this shows the current groups that you are subscribed to, and you can also search for multiple groups in different fields, and then you can join such groups. Some groups are restricted. You may have to be added by someone. You may have to request and they have to approve your request. Some are open to all. So join some groups like this. Yeah, this is how we do that. And again, this could be very important for many people. The job section. Yeah, jobs is where the people have listed jobs. Many companies would have advertised for jobs in the particular from their pages. So this is where you can go and search for jobs that are currently open, where you can apply. And directly from the LinkedIn link, you can apply for a job straight up there. So it gives a notification. The employer gets a notification say that such and such person is interested in the job, and they will look at your profile and they may get in touch with you. Right? So always build your network, include recruiters if you're looking for jobs, and include experts in your field who may be able to help you when you need some kind of a help or support. Yeah, people in the target organization where you plan to work, and any such people, always have such people, expand your network. And this have at least 50 connections. This is for freshers. When you are a fresher, minimum 50 connections, that is the minimum you need to target for before you start looking for a job. So expand your network and then move on. I hope this is something that will add some value to your preparations for your career, for your job hunt. I wish you all the best of everything, and take some of the clues from what we have discussed. So all the best. Thank you, every one of you, and stay safe.